everyone. I'm Noreen Purcell Dillman, the creator of the Healthy Peaceful podcast. About me, I describe myself as a former attorney, YouTuber, natural food chef, wellness guru. No, that's not a typo. It actually means precious one. If you haven't been following me, you may be wondering what this podcast of 4 years is all about. It's a place where I interview individuals on topics pertaining to the meaning of health and well-being, personal and collective consciousness, and maximizing full human potential. This episode is a part of a series between me and Chef Rich LaMarita. During this series, we delve into the 8 principles of food in the ancient system of health and well-being called Ayurveda. What I really like about this series and what I feel Chef Rich literally brings to the table, and I've studied many Ayurvedic cookbooks and other written materials about the Ayurvedic approach to food. I've discovered few, however, written by a professional chef who is also completely in tune with what appeals to the American palate. So here, instead of presenting yet another litany of lists and do's and don'ts of what to eat if you want to try Ayurveda, Rich asks us to join him on a journey of the senses. I've discovered, and I'm sure you will too, that no one wants to embrace an Ayurvedic approach to food and health unless there is some sensory delight, meaning pleasure of the senses. So let's delve in with Chef Rich, acknowledging that initially we may feel confused, but with some practice and Ayurvedic approach to our daily food will become second nature. Naturally, we will begin to see our health transform. And once this magic starts to happen, we will want to fully embrace Ayurvedic principles. The first principle is Prakriti. We often hear this word referred to in Ayurveda to describe our own individual nature, essentially what our doshic makeup was at birth, our own mind-body type, and the North Star for the balancing principles that Ayurveda furnishes. We don't often hear it referred to when we speak about food, but food also has a Prakriti, an inherent nature. Specifically, Rich will bring us on a journey through the 6 tastes and how, according to Ayurveda, these tastes have a unique effect on our Prakriti, our own mind-body type. The second principle of food that Rich will introduce is Karana, or preparation, and how different methods of food preparation impact our physiology and mental outlook. The third principle is Samyoga, or food combining. Without becoming too rigid, we want to become aware of how Ayurveda views different combinations of food, and what are the definite faux pas and what we can regularly incorporate for maximum health and well-being. The fourth principle is Rashi, or amount. Ayurveda has a formula for the quantity that is considered too little, too much, and just right. The state of our appetite, or what is called Agni, will also be considered, as well as times of day. Caution here, we may append that universal American belief that a large breakfast is required to fuel your day. The fifth principle is Dashen, or the source of food, and where we consume the food. We are all familiar with what is now universally adopted by those who truly care about their health. Eat what grows locally and organic, if at all possible. Yet we all continue to enjoy our avocados. Rich will share the Ayurvedic view here. The sixth principle is Kala, or time, and will include daily eating habits, meaning what times a day are most appropriate and the quantity of the food for each meal. Kala, or time, also relates to each season and how our diets will change with the seasons. We will also address times of life. What we eat when we are 62 and the quantities we eat at 62 are dramatically different than what we eat when we're age 12. The seventh principle is called Upayoga Samstha, or rules for food intake. Here, Rich expounds on the culture of eating and our habits, essentially how we behave before, during, and after a meal. The eighth principle, or Upayukta, considers the person who is eating, essentially his or her mental state. In Ayurveda, these states are called Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. And also the strength of our digestion. Is it balanced or imbalanced? And how do we remedy imbalanced digestion? Now, a bit about Chef Rich. Currently, Chef Rich LaMarita calls New York City home. He was a chef instructor at the Natural Gourmet Institute in Manhattan for over 25 years. This is where Rich and I met, as I was a student there. NGI was formed by Anne Marie Colvin, a well-known proponent of the connection between food and health, also a proponent of natural foods and the author of many books pertaining to these topics, including her seminal work titled Food and Healing. While at NGI, Rich's specialties included the following: vegetarian cuisine, vegan, Indian, and Italian. Rich has also worked with numerous well-known chefs in New York City, including Floyd Cardoz, Dan Kluger, and Ben Pollinger. He has also worked as a private chef for many notable families and as a private instructor in Manhattan and the Hamptons since 1995. Rich has been a practitioner and teacher of Ayurveda for 35 years. He has studied with Vedic and Ayurvedic master Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, the founder of Transcendental Meditation, TL. Rich has led seminars on Ayurvedic diet, cooking, yoga, and meditation throughout the US, Europe, and Asia. Rich joined the Institute of Culinary Education in 2019, ICE, teaching plant-based culinary arts career classes and leading recreational classes in Ayurvedic, Asian, and vegan cuisines. He is also a graduate of Maharishi International University's master's degree program in Maharishi Ayurveda and Integrative Medicine, a program where he is currently teaching as a TA. Wow. After reading this, I hope you're as excited as I am. And I realize how special it is to have a guest like Rich LaMarita. I hope you will find this series as enjoyable as I have. Now let's dive in. Good morning, Rich. How are you today?
Very well, Noreen. Thank you so much. Nice to see you. Nice to see you
Awesome.
in the new year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. You know, we are continuing with our series on Ayurveda and food. But you and I were talking briefly before today's recording, and you indicated that there's something that's calling to you that you'd like to share with our audience. And let's just give that a go. What's on your mind today? It has to do with food, but it's a little bit off topic. Let's run with it.
So I guess I'll introduce this or start this by saying, I've been studying Ayurveda for many years, maybe 40, at least 40. I've been a chef for numerous years, close to 30, between 30 and 40 years, teaching a culinary school. And I think I know a decent amount about food. I think I know a decent amount about Ayurveda. I practice Ayurveda, but something occurred recently where I asked myself, what really is the Ayurvedic diet? What does that really mean? Do I really know it? Or am I fooling myself in some way?
Yeah, great question.
That's
kind of like being a meditator and actually experiencing meditation versus reading about it.
Right. Exactly. And certainly I've been practicing Ayurveda and Ayurvedic diet, but like how another way I put it that kind of that changed my perspective is that I asked myself that question, really, what is the Ayurvedic diet? But I thought, not only how I would answer that question, but how would a Vedic rishi from the past answer that question?
Perhaps a Vedic rishi from the present.
That's very excellent. Right. We tend to talk about food and the complexities and and all the details about food, of course. We talk about our digestion and how important digestion is in food. And then we also talk about the process of eating, um, not eating too late at night, all the rules, eating
Yeah,
your main
there's
meal.
lots of parameters that
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
given to follow.
eating the main meal at midday, not drinking cold too often, not drinking too much during a meal. And Ayurveda even provides for us, our topic, basically our long range topic of Astavidya Harayatam, which are the 8 principles of diet. But this question of, do I really know it? And
Mm.
what's coming to me, and it's changing me, even after all these years, is it's not it's not all these things that we talk about, and of course it is, and we got to talk about them, okay? But it's the effect of the diet. In other words, is this diet bringing me enlightenment? Okay,
More bliss, more happiness.
is this diet is the food I'm putting into my body on a daily basis, you know, from so many different levels, and different there's just so much about it, um sometimes you do it right, sometimes you don't do it right, sometimes you drink a little too much, all this, not drink alcohol, but you even drink water directly after a meal, all these things you have to do. But what feeling does it give me? What am I carrying around in, is it really awakening my consciousness?
Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
Okay. Is it
Well,
really awakening my
yeah.
consciousness? Is it really moving my consciousness forward in an evolutionary way?
Mm.
That was the question. Is food doing that? Am I doing it properly so that
Can I,
the
can I
effect
ask you if
the
this
effect is there? Yeah.
can I ask you if this question came to you in a meditation?
No, it didn't. No, no, no,
Okay.
it didn't. Good question,
Mm.
but
Mm.
a lot of times in meditation, I just go into my meditation, and I'm not even, thoughts come and they just go.
Yeah.
I don't have super deep insights in my meditation. Okay.
Okay.
Um, so I started to look back and think about uh, some of the Ayurvedic scriptures and see if they say anything about this. And yeah, there is stuff about this. And here's one beautiful quote by Charaka. Um, Food sustains life in in all living beings. All living beings in the universe require food. Complexion, clarity, good voice, longevity, creativity, happiness, contentment, nourishment, strength, intellect, all depend on food. All depend on food. Such an incredible sentence there.
Mm.
Actions performed for worldly achievement, attainment of heavenly life and enlightenment are all dependent on food. Okay? So the success of what you're doing in terms of eating and diet, the success of what you're doing is that, is my complexion clear? Am I experiencing, you know, deep clarity, good voice, longevity, creativity, happiness, contentment, nourishment, strength, strong intellect? Am I moving myself towards enlightenment from my diet? And of course, yes, I am. I mean, I'm living, and I'm healthy. So yes, but how could I even improve that? That was the question that kept on coming to me. We hear that the most important product of our digestion is, you tell me, you know what it is. Ojas. Ojas.
Right. And then, even finer than that, soma.
Yeah, well, they're one and the
Or
same.
soma
Oh,
is yeah,
Soma,
coming is more coming from consciousness.
yeah, yeah. I see Soma as more of the kind of Ojas is more of a physical, and Soma
Right.
is more of a kind of more of a the non-physical.
S-
But
The
that's
spiritual or
getting created. I want to, I want to make sure I really create a deep, strong ojas from the food that
and
I'm.
just for people who may not know what ojas is, just say a little bit about what you
Ojas,
consider ojas to be.
okay. Ojas is life force.
Right, right.
Ojas is our life force, but it's also it's the as Ayurvedic teaches us, it's the final product of our the digesting. It's the final product,
Mhm.
which means it's consciousness. It's
Yeah.
it's it's the wholeness that we get out of our food. It's
Hmm.
it's the life and the energy and the intelligence that we extract from our food, you know? And if you ask yourself, like, what is a diet? What is the purpose of a diet? That is the purpose of a diet. You know, many of us are so trapped in, you know, I'm eating this because or I don't know, need to lose weight or need to gain weight or need to do this or need to do that, but the goal of a diet is to extract wholeness and to extract the consciousness that's in the food into you. So just looking, it's kind of like it was kind of like shifting my perspective from thinking about diet from all the outside things, such as the all the details about food, the details about digestion and how to improve digestion, and also the rules of intake of food, to to shifting it from an outside going in perspective to from an inside going out perspective.
That's like Maharishi, the Maharishi, the inner, the outer, the inner.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
yeah, so you're shifting the way that you're experiencing a shift in the way that you're looking at it.
yeah, yeah. And I found this also,
And seeing something deeper.
and seeing something deeper in it. Yeah, you know, and seeing something deeper in it.
Absolutely.
You know, some other little things that, in terms of in the Vedic texts, um, it talks about this is the result of a proper diet. The result is that your appetite should be good and strong, you know, um, that you feel good during while you're eating and you feel good after you're eating. I thought, how many times have I, felt good after I'm eating, or felt good while I'm eating, but also, knowing, there's a little bit of these, oh, do I really need to have this extra piece? Oh, I feel just a little bit full today. Oh, you know, I don't really need to have this particular thing, which is like 1 or 2 hours after. I work in a food profession, so food is always around, you know?
Yeah, it's in some ways it's you live, breathe, and excuse the pun, but and eat food, but you're
Yeah,
it's just what you do
right,
in
right.
terms of your creative energy.
Yeah, it's my living in a sense,
Yes.
and
Hmm.
I mean, and then also in some respects, I mean, not in some respects, I mean, I make my money from making food, tasting food, sharing thoughts on food, you know?
Of
Uh,
course, yeah, that's
yeah,
it's been your livelihood for many, many years.
yeah, yeah. But you should feel that ojas. You should feel
Yeah.
energy. You should feel life. You should feel wakefulness, enthusiasm, and glow from the food. So anyway, that's I've been thinking about that lately, and it has changed a lot. It has changed me a lot in this sense, um, which is good, um, which is really good. I mean, I'm not sure how it's hard to put into words in some respect. Um, in terms of what specifically I should eat or what specifically I should not eat or what anybody should eat. Every diet is so individual, so individual in terms of so unique to an individual in terms of what you're putting into your body at this particular time, at this particular season, in this particular age. And we all have these judgments on, oh, but you should not be eating this, or you should not be eating that, or Ayurveda says this about this food or this about this food. And yet, is whatever you're putting into your body, if you feel that it's creating energy, life, wholeness, ojas, then that's what an Ayurvedic diet is.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree.
Yeah.
It's, certain things are, maybe it's sort of like, on the other hand, it's kind of like don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Um, to me, what you're describing is kind of like people walking into a yoga studio and thinking they're going to do yoga asanas, which they will, but other things will start happening as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so with Ayurveda, um, people need to have the food list and they need to think about, the seasons and the digestion. But eventually, with enough experience with these parameters, these guidelines that we've been given, if they're very fortunate and with practice, they'll come to the point where what you're querying right now,
Mm-hmm. I bet
which
people
is
have
okay.
I bet people have come up with that question long before I did, or long in terms of at a much younger age. I mean,
I
I've
don't
had
know, but
it's
but
not it's
but I
not that
love the
I've
question.
eaten
Like,
it's not that I've eaten unhealthy ever, you know. But it's just an interesting question when you ask yourself, like what is the purpose of this? What really is an Ayurvedic diet? Do you do I practice an Ayurvedic diet? Yeah, yeah, I do. Up to a certain percentage, I do. You know, I've got good ojas, I've got good energy. Okay. Is it perfect? No. You know, sometimes I eat too much. Sometimes the times of my eating are thrown off because of my job, you know. Uh, sometimes um, I drink too much water. I drink a lot of water during the day for a specific reason. But sometimes I might drink a lot of water or water too close to meal times. Um, and then suddenly I feel that. I feel like, oh, my stomach feels a little heavy. And that's making I feel a little heavy. Oh, you know, it's in the middle of the day and suddenly I'm feeling this droop of energy. Why? Is that connected to my food? Is that connected to something that I did in terms of my eating? And sometimes I could say, yeah, it is. Um, so that's the things that are kind of rolling around these days. How can I refine this whole process of putting food into my body so that this feeling that I have of clarity, intelligence, consciousness, ojas is maintained, for long periods, for ongoing time. I hope I'm
yeah,
making
yeah.
sense. I hope I'm making
No,
sense.
no, no, I think no, definitely. I mean, what you're speaking of is, I think is just really tuning in to realizing, yeah, generally you're following the parameters, but thinking about what's the quality of my energy, what's the quality of my mental clarity, what's the quality of my level of creativity, and really thinking about, well, gee, are there things that I can improve or refine, really to enhance level of consciousness,
Yeah.
uh, and to be, and I think that there's all kinds of habits that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think when I first started the podcast almost 4 years ago, I interviewed a woman. Um, she wrote a book on Ayurveda and food, and it really had to do with, I think she had had an eating disorder, and it was about our relationship with food. And there's a real emotional component to our relationship with food,
Mm-hmm.
um, and how we interact with food. And I don't think we can dispense with that.
Mm-hmm.
And we have long ingrained habits before coming to Ayurveda that, we still dance with or flirt with to some extent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Oh, it's suddenly it's coming to me. One of the it was coming from multiple sources or multiple areas, but one of the inspirations for this was, I'm a TA for the Marvin program
yeah,
for the new students, for the new
sure.
students.
And
And
that's the master's degree program at Maharishi University and Maharishi Ayurveda and Integrative Medicine.
correct, correct, correct. So we were in a webinar, it's an online webinar. I think I was doing a cooking demo. I've been doing cooking demos
Oh, great.
occasionally as part of our webinars, and the students are really responding very positively towards that.
Oh, they probably love that.
Yeah, which is really nice, and I love to do it. Things really flow on that. And one student asked me, they asked me, like, what is the Ayurvedic diet? You know, one student asked me that straight on question,
Well,
and
it takes a newbie, a neophyte to just ask a great question like that, right?
yeah, yeah. Normally, normally you'd get questions like, like, why did you saute the rice first, or do you really have to saute the rice, or how do you wash a legume? Very detailed questions about food, which just flow right
Right.
out. But this question hit me like a ton of bricks. You know
Mm,
why? Because all these answers came into my head right off the bat, you know, like
yeah.
Ayurveda, like six tastes and balance of six tastes, um, practicing or in, eliminating ama and increasing ojas so that your digestive system is strong, and following some of the rules of intake, such as not eating before bed and all that. So all this information started coming to my head, and then it was it was like gonna pour out, and suddenly it just stopped, and I said, "That's a great question.
Yeah,
Do I
it is a
really
great
know?
question.
Do I really know? You know, do we
Mm,
really know what an Ayurvedic diet is?"
yeah,
And then I
yeah.
pictured myself. Imagine if we were thousands of years ago in an enlightened community and we were enlightened rishi, and that question was asked, you know? And the answer would be something like, the Ayurvedic diet is a diet that brings you to enlightenment, that opens your consciousness, that that creates ojas, that creates wholeness in your body. That's the purpose of eating. That's the purpose of food. And I and the Ayurvedic texts bear that out. But you have to talk about all these detailed stuff because, well, that's where we are in terms of our level of consciousness.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. Well, I think it goes back to, yeah, first of all, it's great that a new student asked that question.
Isn't it?
And Yeah, that's really awesome. And it really, on the other hand, if you hadn't been immersed in all of these other things, and the things that you immediately downloaded and wanted to share, like the six tastes, methods of cooking, time of day, all of that stuff, maybe you wouldn't have appreciated how profound that question actually is.
Exactly. 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 Yeah.
Because you to some extent you've been searching for many years, what is an Ayurvedic diet?
Mm-hmm.
You've been searching for the answer to that question, it sounds like.
Yeah.
And it's that question's been there in your search.
Mm-hmm.
And I also loved what you read out of the Sharak Samhita. Do you mind rereading that again? Do you still have it there? Because I think that's
Yeah.
really wonderful. So,
Yeah. 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 Food sustains life in living beings. All living beings in the universe require food. Complexion, clarity, good voice, longevity, creativity, happiness, contentment, nourishment, strength, intellect all depend on food. Actions performed for worldly achievement, attainment of heavenly life, and enlightenment are all dependent upon food. You know,
mhm, right.
it's the result. It's the result of an Ayurvedic diet. You know, that's the result of an Ayurvedic diet, which basically is saying, it brings you to wholeness. It brings you to enlightenment. It's a technique for gaining. It's one of the techniques for gaining enlightenment. You know, so we should really kind of cherish it and understand that, and judge your diet. Judge your diet. Judge the way you eat by its result. And it's not going to happen overnight like TM. Or like we know in TM, one meditation doesn't bring you to enlightenment. It's not going to happen like that.
But in TM you can very quickly transcend the mind. It's just transcend ordinary level of consciousness. It's just a matter of, you know, it's only with continued practice that,
Yeah,
that gets further and further infiltrated into your daily life.
right. Well, the same is true with your diet too. That's what I'm
Say
saying.
more, say more about that.
Well, no, what I'm saying is that your diet should lead you to a better place every day. You know, sometimes we're not, I mean, I'm not just, I'm also the people that I know, the students that I know in my school, they're on a certain diet or they're trying to eat, they're eating certain foods. But is it really bringing them to the place that they want to be? Is it really bringing, is it really is the type of eating that the way that they're eating, is it doing for them what it should be doing? That's kind of what I'm asking. And I see a lot of people, students who don't, who eat without thinking too much, and eat without understanding where that diet is leading to. You know,
Yeah, yeah. So now that you have uncovered this question, what's next?
that's another great question. No, I mean, it's changed my perspective. There's just there's more refinement there in terms of the connection. There's more strength, determination to practice what I know is correct practice. Um, and just to be able to make sure that the food I'm eating is going to lead me to where it should be going. It's not going to take me away from the detailed knowledge that we are going to be going over, you know, in these 8 principles of Ayurvedic, these are all important things, you know, but it's just that there's just a little bit more refinement. There's a little bit more intelligence behind it. There's a little bit more wakefulness.
You know, I just had an insight. I don't know if this I don't know how you respond to this, but I'd be interested on your take. You know how in transcendental meditation there's the seven levels of consciousness.
Yeah,
Perhaps there's something similar
with food.
with Ayurveda and food.
Yeah, yeah, it could be. Could be. Sorry.
You know, you have the
Hold on, hold on.
Sure, sure, take your time.
I just wanted to shut that off. Okay. Yeah,
It's
go
okay.
ahead.
Don't worry. You got something cooking.
No, no, no. That was just the phone ringing. I just.
Oh, okay, okay. I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it. I don't know. That thought just came to me that, you know, you have waking, dreaming, sleeping,
Mm-hmm.
transcendental,
Mm-hmm.
cosmic consciousness. How many do I have there? Five?
God and unity.
God and unity consciousness, and perhaps,
I
you know,
I have slipped into a higher state of consciousness with regard to food and diet. Yep, I can say that. I can say that. And it'll deepen.
as a result of this question.
Yeah. And the
Oh,
thinking
okay. Oh,
around it,
that's cool.
and the thinking around it, and the little
Yeah,
changes and the little changes that it's starting to produce. You
yeah.
know.
I love that. I love that.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of like you've gone from that state of restful, that state of maybe you're in like cosmic consciousness for Ayurvedic food.
Right. It could be. It could be. But it's making some definite changes, you know. Like I'm thinking, you know,
Yeah, I want to hear more about that
based on
because that's like,
based on my digestive system, you know, I like to have 3 meals. It's important for me to have 3 meals. Um, is my digestion sama agni? You know, sama agni is the ideal, which means very even, very balanced. Or, you know, is it what's called tikshna, right? There are different states or are different kind of tendencies towards digestion. Based on my body
yeah,
type, mine, you know, is I'm a pitta kapha, so I can have a tendency towards a tikshna agni, which is strong. I burn hot, you know. My digestion is,
yeah. You can have strong appetite,
yeah,
but you know sometimes kind of burn through things and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So, you know, how do I shift that? How do I, you know, what does sama agni feel like? Um,
And sama
you know,
agni being more of a
even,
balanced appetite,
even balanced,
even balanced.
knowing what's right to put in your body and what's not right to put in your body, and being able to, you know, to act on that. You know, like I
And
make
also
breakfast, you know, the
also
detailed.
being having good hunger at the appropriate times,
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. It's
you
changing
know.
my breakfasts, actually. This is changing the
Okay.
way I eat breakfast.
All
Um,
right.
you know,
Tell me about that.
well, some of the things I do, well, first of all, I have to understand I make breakfast for my son every morning. Okay.
Okay.
Every single morning for the past 13 years, pretty much.
Boy, he's 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 uh
He's
he's
lucky.
definitely enjoying that. I'm sure he's very fortunate.
He's lucky. He's lucky. And at one point I tried to get out of
Well,
it.
someday he'll have the opportunity to make breakfast for his son. So,
That's true. Um, you know, so I make breakfast for him every morning, and I give him a nice complete breakfast because he goes to school. He needs that energy. I don't know. I don't really know if he's eating in the school lunch. You know what I mean?
right.
School lunch is a typical school lunch. He'll have the pizza when it's the pizza, and he'll have the chicken fingers when it's the chicken fingers, but not every day is like that. So I'm not sure if he's eating. Plus, he gets really busy with his friends, and he goes out to the playground, during recess. So I want him to eat. I want him to have a good meal at the start of the day. Um,
Yeah, that's
so
great.
anyway, I make him a good, well-rounded breakfast. Okay. So, he might not finish the whole thing. Um, so I have a tendency to finish it for him. Okay. No, you know what I mean? So like
Okay, okay.
there's a half a pancake, there's a half a waffle there. There's some juice lying around. Okay.
Well,
Um,
maybe that's more, sometimes we do that because it's ingrained in us not to waste food.
right. That's what I mean. Yeah, there are many, many reasons why you might do
It
that.
might not be that we necessarily need the food, but I'm not going to waste the food. So,
Right, right, right. I didn't make my breakfast yet, and boom, boom, boom. Let me just finish that to get things going. Works
okay.
here, but it's a kind of an unnecessary thing. I don't really need to do that. Also,
Yeah,
it's not really the food that I should be eating at that time.
right. It might
I'm
be
beginning.
appropriate for, how old is he? He's 14 or
Yeah, he's 13.
something.
He's 13. He's
Okay.
13.
So it might be great for a 13-year-old, but maybe not so good for your digestion.
Exactly. I'm beginning to see that I do better more with more of a savory breakfast
Okay.
rather than anything's too sweet.
Yeah.
It's highly recommended. Cooked apples. And
Yeah, that's a real nice breakfast is just the or in Divya Alter's book, she calls that a cooked apple pre-breakfast. So it's just the cooked apples with cloves.
yeah, yeah, it's nice, but I'm finding that it doesn't suit me that very well, though. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay, it's too sweet, maybe.
It's too sweet. It doesn't really. I mean, I'm not going to say fill me up, but it doesn't satisfy me.
Yeah, it's not
Okay.
it's not terribly filling.
You
Yeah.
know, um, it almost for me it kind of serves no purpose because
Okay.
1 hour later I'm going to be really hungry for something else. 1 hour later I'm going to be really hungry for something else. Okay, that's not sama agni.
No, 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 that's
That's not
true.
some.
That's true.
That's Tikshna agni. Okay, so
Yeah.
so if I have and then towards the afternoon you'd be because you're eating so much during the morning. It's not like it's devouring food, but you get a little hungry at 1 hour later, and then an hour and a half later you're hungry again, so you have a little something. By the afternoon you start feeling a little heavy, so then you're shifting more towards manda agni there, where I would begin to realize, let me have a nice sit down savory breakfast. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me have a nice sit down savory breakfast. I don't
Okay.
need anything. I don't need too much sweet there. I don't need to have my fruits in the morning, or my stewed apples in the morning. Um, Occasional cooked grains, yeah, but no, but that's not all the time. And I'll tell you, the whole morning I feel awake and alert and clear-headed and full of energy, and I don't think about food until kind of normal lunchtime.
Wow. So you just made like a minor shift and it pretty
It
can
changed
you that's really cool. And do you mind me asking like what a savory breakfast would be for you?
eggs.
Okay.
Egg, it's a bit protein. I want to make sure I get
Right.
enough protein.
Okay.
Um, so I could have one or two eggs. It could be done in a
Mm-hmm.
different way. I might have an avocado. I
Yep.
might have some vegetables. Okay.
Okay.
Either
Yep.
cooked or raw, but like cucumber, sliced cucumber, something like that. Sliced cucumber,
Right.
sliced cucumber and
Something
tomato.
that's relatively easy to digest,
Yeah,
like a
yeah, yeah,
cucumber. Yeah.
yeah. And I might have even a light cheese, like a cottage cheese. Okay. Or if I have
Okay.
where I have paneer, a little bit of paneer, something like that,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Maybe a little sprinkle of maybe a little sprinkle of some turmeric or hing on the with the eggs. Um, Usually put a little bit of sea vegetable like dulse in the
Yep.
eggs, or sprinkle that on top of the vegetables. Um, so this is not something I would think. That's what I'm saying. This is not something that I would think of eating a couple of years ago. Wouldn't even enter my. I mean, eggs. I mean, everybody has. Occasionally you have eggs. But I was doing more of the fruit and more of the whole grain, and more of the oatmeal and stuff like that.
Sure.
And realizing it wasn't doing it, that this shift is much better for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Even though maybe officially, let's say officially, somebody would say, "Whoa, is that Ayurvedic?" You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, yeah. I think that's a good point. That's a good. You want to speak to that?
Well, that's the idea. Somebody would say, "Whoa, is that Ayurvedic?" Like
Mm.
where is the cooked fruits in the morning, and where is the light, amaranth porridge, in the morning. Uh, you know, you know, right? So you think, this kind of
Yeah.
general rule,
But if we
but I'm
but if we
saying,
go back to your question, if we go back to your question at the query that you made at the beginning of when we started recording is what is an Ayurvedic diet? And it's essentially the evolution of consciousness, which comes from obviously a number of things, but also in the physiology developing ojas.
yeah. And how
Um,
you feel,
and
and how you're feeling.
how are you feeling? Are you feeling vital, clear, creative? Are all
Energetic,
those things happening? Energetic,
you know?
and those are really that's that's where the rubber meets the road, really. So,
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, I like it. I like it. It's
Hmm.
cool. Well, I think as we continue in talking about the eight principles of food, um, and you're starting to make these changes in moving closer to an Ayurvedic diet for you,
Hmm.
uh, I'd love it if you'd share with the audience what you're experiencing.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. That would be wonderful.
That'd be
As we
great.
go, as we still can go through these eight principles, because
Of course.
they're very important.
Yeah, and what you're noticing in your own life in terms of further refining your relationship with food and with Ayurveda.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the point here is, that your relationship with food is everybody has a unique relationship with food. It's changing, always changing. Um, Ayurvedic diet is very, very personal. It's very unique to the individual. It does have general guidelines, but it's also very, very unique to the individual, you know?
Right. Well, I look forward to continuing, Rich. Is there anything else that you want to say about
No, we spent a good time today.
no, that was good. That was good. I love
Yeah,
it. So
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, yeah. So
Um,
next time, let's start talking about preparation of food.
we're going to talk about
Yeah,
methods of preparation and how the energetic effects of different preparation methods of food.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
However, if something else comes up relating to what's happening, we'll shift gears. How does that sound?
That sounds good. Okay,
Awesome.
thank you.